Welcome to From the PressBox. I'm Jamal Williams alongside Lauren Fluker.
Yes, thanks, Jamal. In local sports news, Georgia Tech released guard Glenn Rice Jr. after being charged in connection to a shooting outside of an Atlanta nightclub.
Yellow Jackets head coach Brian Gregory announced that Rice was no longer a part of the team but will complete his academic requirements for the spring semester.
Coach Gregory went on to say that there are certain standards that have to be met both on and off of the court.
Final Four actions in full effect, but one of the favorites to win it all may have suffered a major blow. UNC point guard Kendall Marshall broke a bone in his right wrist during the third round of their NCAA tournament win against Creighton.
The incident occurred when Marshall drove in lane and was knocked down by another player. Marshall was placed in a cast, and there's no word on his status for the rest of the tournament.
It's official. Peyton Manning will be playing ball in the Mile High City. The Denver Broncos have signed Peyton Manning to a 5-year, $96 million contract. Now, I have a question for you, Lauren. Do you think he made the right decision?
I think Peyton made the right decision for him. You know, John Elway and the Broncos organization was the first organization to reach out to him and write him up a contract. You know, and John Elway is also a Hall of Fame quarterback, so I think that there is some loyalty and allegiance there by them being the first organization and then Elway being, you know, a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, you know, I think that they are looking at it as a long-term investment. You know, they've been able to take into account all that he's accomplished, all that he has done, and overlook the fact that he did not play last season. They look at him, you know, as a possible mentor for their relatively young team, whereas, you know, other teams possibly saw him as a prize quarterback in their quick ticket to the next Super Bowl.
Well, maybe he'll be able to walk in Elway's path, as Elway did play for the Colts and then moved to the Broncos, and then he was one of the older quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. The Broncos were so eager to sign Manning that they even pulled legendary quarterback Frank Tripucka's number out of retirement. Unfortunately, this ended Tebow's stint as a Denver Bronco. Now, Jamal, we know that, you know, this whole move with Tebow to the Jets, you know, could possibly have altered his psyche. So do you think it would alter it much, if at all?
No one's more qualified to handle scrutiny in the limelight than Tim Tebow. Maybe a LeBron James, but Tebow's been looked at since high school as a phenom. This guy's been in the spotlight in college, high school, and now in the pros. He doesn't care what the media says about him. He knows what his strengths are. He's heard about his throwing motion. He's a hard worker, and he just goes out on the field and executes.
Okay, and I guess the even better question is, you know, with this team, the Jets being arguably one of the most trash-talking teams, do you think this could possibly hurt Tebow's little Christian mind at all?
No, Tebow is going to be holding mass every Sunday morning before the games, and maybe he'll even be able to get Antonio Cromartie to have some time with his children, know their names.
Possibly.
But more straight ahead from the press box. We'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned.
Lead paint poisoning affects over 1 million children today. Dust from lead-based paint could cause violent behavior. If your home was built before 1978, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
Welcome back. In more football news, the NFL has finalized the penalties for the New Orleans Saints in the Bounty investigation. Head coach Sean Payton is suspended without pay for 1 year, and former Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams is suspended indefinitely.
And the list goes on as the Saints lost their second-round draft picks in the 2012 and 2013 draft. In addition to a hefty $500,000 fine, Saints general manager Mickey Loomis was also suspended for 8 games, and assistant coach Joe Vitt was suspended for 6 games, along with an $100,000 fine for him.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell stated, "We are all accountable for player health and safety and the integrity of the game."
But the thing I don't understand is the Saints weren't the only team to be investigated by the NFL. The Green Bay Packers were investigated in 2007, and the investigation states that the Packers were guilty of offering to pay defensive linemen $500 apiece if they were able to keep Vikings running back Adrian Peterson under 100 yards rushing, and they did another time when they offered them $500 if they were able to keep the Carolina Panthers under 60 yards as a team. And since no one in the Saints organization is speaking about the incident, how do you know that they were really offering to hurt players? Maybe they were saying, if we keep Peyton Manning under 400 yards passing, we'll give you a little something.
I think the commissioner, you know, as you mentioned, there are a few other teams that have done this, but I think the commissioner is just fed up with it. He wants to do away with it. And I just think that, you know, despite, you know, all this bounty talk, that the penalties were very fair. You know, they could have been a lot worse, but I do think they were fair. And, you know, this punishment is unprecedented, as there's never been a head coach in NFL history to be suspended for an entire year, but the Saints' actions warranted these penalties.
No, the Saints were made an example of. The Saints' actions warranted maybe an 8-game suspension. Sean Payton said himself he was not expecting to be missing a whole year. No, I don't think so. But we're going to take a timeout because we obviously need one. We'll be right back and go head-to-head again with our Hurry Up Offense segment.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Welcome back to From the Press Box and into Hurry Up Offense. First question, Philadelphia Phillies 5-time All-Star second baseman Chase Utley is out indefinitely with a knee condition. Will Philly be the same, Jamal?
No, but with this knee condition, Utley's career is pretty much almost over. And his career is going to be, in the end, more about what could have been than what was. And this is going to hurt the Phillies because when he's in their lineup, his patience and power when hitting is unmatched by anyone else on their roster, not Ryan Howard, not Jimmy Rollins. Because, I mean, look, he's a 5-time All-Star. Those guys just don't grow on trees. You can't just replace him like that. Because if you could, then everyone would be a 5-time All-Star and you wouldn't have All-Stars. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. But look at this. They do have options there. They have Michael Martinez. He's a utility player. They also have Ty Wigginton. And they also have the 22-year-old future shortstop Freddie Galvis. So they do have options here. You know, Galvis he has a good glove reputation, but he's questionable at bat. So if they want to be the same, this will probably be their best option, considering Wigginton has to fill in for the injured third baseman. You know, and Utley has been on the disabled list 80 days out of, 3 years. So, yeah, I do think they have to make a move.
Yeah, so basically what you got into there is that he's going to be missed most in the batting lineup, because I agree with you completely.
Yes, he will.
Okay, great. So our next question is that Dwight Howard proclaimed his loyalty to the city of Orlando by staying another season. Did Dwight make a good choice?
I think Dwight made the best choice for now. I think he was trying to avoid being LeBronized, for lack of a better term, but a move is going to have to be made eventually. This guy needs a ring, so whether that means bringing him help or him leaving to actually get that ring, something is going to have to be done. You know, CP3 left, he's had progress. LeBron left, he's had progress, and so is Melo. So I think Dwight is next.
Okay, you talk great. I don't think he needs a ring, and I'd like to mention all those guys that you say left their teams. None of them have rings either. But
that's true, but they're in the running. Let's say that.
To leave your team via trade or free agency the way LeBron did is that's not a respectable way to do it. And Dwight Howard didn't need to be traded away because he only wants to play for the future Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
And if they trade for him, they're going to have to send everything, the whole team in the sink to get him from the Magic. And if they do that, then he's going to end up there in a Carmelo situation where they don't have the talent to win now.
Exactly. Next question. Brittany Griner and Anthony Davis are two college players that have all-star talent. But in a one-on-one matchup, who would you take?
Well, they're both very talented players, but I'm going to have to go with Anthony Davis, or as you like to call him, the unibrow. He has a 7'6" wingspan, and that's just going to be too much for her. I mean, look at the fact that he's one of the best ball-handling bigs in the country, and his offensive game is just developing day by day. He's developed a jump shot. He's learning how to do post moves. At the beginning of this year, all he could do was catch alley-oops and dunk on the offensive end, but he was still a monster on the defensive end.
Okay, and speaking of dunk, okay, that is what Brittany Griner is doing now. So I've got to go with her. She's a 6'8" phenom out of Baylor, as we know. And, you know, we just spoke about Dwight Howard, and it's funny because he actually thinks that she could be playing with guys like him. So that says a lot. She averages 23 points. That's 9 more than Davis, and just 1 less rebound than he does at 9 rebounds per game. And she's also a finalist for the U.S. Olympic women's basketball team. So, you know, he may be a little taller, Davis, but I think Brittany could take him.
We just don't see eye to eye there. All right, last question is, who was this year's biggest NCAA upset?
The biggest NCAA upset would have to be Lehigh beating Duke. Consider this. Duke has been to 15 Final Fours. They have an NCAA tournament record of 96-31, and Duke has appeared in the tournament 35 times. With that, they've gotten 4 national championships. In contrast, Lehigh has only been no times, none. Okay, which means no Final Four appearances and no championships. So this is clearly the biggest upset.
Okay, I definitely agree that it was an upset, but the bigger upset was definitely Norfolk State. They were also in their first tournament, and they beat Missouri. And you have to get to know a guy named Kyle O'Quinn. He's the 6'10" senior who dominated Mizzou on the inside. This guy played the game. He had 26 points and 14 rebounds. The guy dominated the lane, and that was the key to this game. And even after the game, he said it himself, I think I messed up a lot of people's bracket. I know I messed up mine. How can you mess up your own bracket? You didn't pick your own team. That's an upset.
Okay, and this concludes another episode of From the Press Box.
You can follow us on Twitter at FTP_tweets. Again, I'm Jamal Williams.
And I'm Lauren Fluker.
And this is From the Press Box.